Okay, fourth graders, today is October 16th and we are doing Module 3, Lesson 2. As you can see, I'm not here today, so today when you watch this math video, make sure you pause along the way. Sometimes I'll remind you, but anytime you feel like you need to pause to take some good math notes and to solve some problems, please take the responsibility to pause the video so that you can stay on pace with our learning. Today in Module 3, Lesson 2, we're going to continue to add on to what we learned yesterday about area and perimeter, and we're going to use it to help us solve problems where there are phrases or the idea of comparison. When we compare, we're saying one thing is more or less than something else. So you'll see today in the problem, it'll say the length is 3 times as much as the width. Those phrases, those words, as much as, tells us that we are comparing the size of the length compared to the size of the width. You should have gone over the problem of the day with your substitute today. If not, please pause it right now to take a moment to jot down what the question's asking, the important information, and then don't forget to use words, numbers, or pictures to show how you know. Pause the video right now if you haven't yet solved the problem of the day. Okay, for this problem, if we know that the length is 3 feet long and the width is 4 feet long, as stated in the problem, then in order to find out how many square foot tiles he needs to cover the top of the table, it's just like finding the area. So we know from yesterday, the formula to find area is the length times the width, or 3 feet times 4 feet, which will equal 12 square feet. Then to find out how many feet of decorative border we'll need to cover the edges, that's the same as finding the perimeter. So we add the length, 3 feet, plus the width, 4 feet, plus the length, 3 feet, plus the width, 4 feet, to get a total of 14 feet altogether. Okay, this question gives us some information. It says, a rectangular field is 3 feet wide. It is 5 times as long as it is wide. Okay, the first part asks us to draw and label a picture of the field. Well, we know it's a rectangle, so we can go ahead and draw a rectangle. And we know that it is 3 feet wide because it tells us that in the question. Okay, next it says we don't know exactly the length, but it tells us that it is 5 times as long as it is wide. So if it is 3 feet wide and the length is 5 times as much of that, we just do 3 times 15 to find that the length is 15 feet. Pause the video to go ahead and draw and label a picture of the field. Next, it's asking us to find the perimeter. We know that perimeter is the space, the distance around the edges. So we have to do 15 plus 3 plus 15 plus 3. We know from yesterday that there is the formula is 2 times the sum of the length plus the width, right? Because we have a length plus the width, and we have 2 times of that. So we know that in this case, that'll be 2 times the sum of 15 and 3, which is the same as 2 times 18, which is 36. Don't forget your units. It's very important because we need to label our answers with units. And because the problem is telling us that the measurements are in feet, we know that the perimeter is also measured in feet. Go ahead and pause the video right now to see if you can finish the next step by yourself. What is the area of the field? Remember that the formula for area is length times width. So in this case, it is 15 times 3, or 45. Now, we know that area is measured using square units, and in this case, square feet, because the units that we are using are feet. So don't forget to label your answer. Okay, take a moment to read this information to yourself. It says the area of a rectangle is 24 square centimeters. So right off the bat, we know that the area is 24 square centimeters. Okay, we don't know the length and the width yet, but we know that the area, the amount of space at the top of it, that the 2D rectangle takes up, is 24 square centimeters. Then it tells us that the length is 6 centimeters. Okay, take a moment right now to draw and label what you can about this rectangle. We know that the length is 6 centimeters. We don't know the width, but we do know that the area is 24 square centimeters. Well, we know that the area is equal to the length times the width. And right now we don't know what the width is, but we do know that the length is 6 centimeters. So that means that And we do know also that the area is 24 square centimeters. So that means that 6 times something will equal 24. Well, because I know my math facts, I know that 6 times 4 equals 24. So that tells me that the width must be 4 centimeters. The question asks me, what is the width of the rectangle? My first answer is 4 centimeters. Pause the video to take some math notes. Now, read the next question and see if you can write down what the question's asking you to find. Go ahead and pause to write down what the question's asking you to find. Okay, now it says we want another rectangle that has the same length. Well, the same length means that it will still be 6 centimeters. But this time we want it to be 3 times as wide. Now our old width, remember our old width was 4 centimeters. Okay, so for our new rectangle, we want the length to be the same, still 6 centimeters, but we want the width to now be 3 times of our old one, so 3 times 4, which is 12 centimeters. The question is asking us to draw and label the new rectangle. So we'll have a new rectangle. The length is still 6 centimeters, but now the width is 12 centimeters. The last part of the question is asking us to find the perimeter of this new rectangle, this one right here. Okay, so pause the video, see if you can use what you know about perimeter to find the new perimeter of my new rectangle. Remember that perimeter is really just distance, right? It's that distance plus this distance plus this distance plus this distance. So it is measured in normal units, not square units. So my final answer would be 36 centimeters. Okay, let's try one more problem. It says Sherry's rectangular garden is 8 square meters. Right off the bat, because it says square meters, that tells me that this is an area. Okay, so we don't know the dimensions yet, but we know that the area of her rectangular garden is 8 square meters. Oh, it says the longer side is 4 meters. Okay, then Nancy has a garden too. It says Nancy's garden is twice as long and twice as wide as Sherry's garden. Okay, so the first part of the question tells us to draw and label both girls' gardens. So I'm going to draw Sherry's garden in blue. I know that the area is 8 square meters. I also know that the longer side is 4 meters. Because the area is 8, I know that 4 times the width will be 8. Well, I know 4 times 2 is 8. So that must mean that Sherry's garden is 4 meters by 2 meters in order to make the area be 8 square meters. Now let's draw Nancy's garden. Nancy's garden is twice as long and twice as wide as Sherry's garden. So if it's twice as wide as 2, 2 times 2 is 4 meters. And if it's twice as long as Sherry's garden, 4 times 2 is 8 meters. So Nancy's garden is 4 meters by 8 meters, and Sherry's garden is 2 meters by 4 meters. The next part of the question asks me to find the perimeter of each garden and the area of each garden. Okay, so I'm going to divide my workspace in half, and over here I'm going to write down for Sherry's, I'm going to write down the area of Sherry's and the perimeter of Sherry's, and over here I'm going to set up my workspace so I have Nancy's garden. I'm going to write down the area of Nancy's garden and the perimeter of Nancy's garden. Pause the video right now and see if you can calculate the area and the perimeter of each girl's garden. Okay, we can see that to find the area, we multiplied the length times the width, so we got 8 square meters. Now, I know I sound like a broken record, but this is super important for you to remember. The area is always measured using square units, and perimeter, because it's just a distance, is only using regular units, so in this case, meters. So Sherry's garden has an area of 8 square meters and a perimeter of 12 meters, whereas Nancy's garden has an area of 32 square meters and 24 meters. The last part of the question is interesting. It's very important. It says, what is the relationship between the two perimeters? So how does 24, oops, that's the wrong kind of writing tool. How does Nancy's perimeter of 24 meters compare to Sherry's perimeter of 12 meters? Well, if we take a look, I know that 24 is 2 times as big as 12 because 12 times 2 is 24. And if we look back at the problem, we'll remember that it says Nancy's garden was twice as long and twice as wide, so I made the measurements twice as big. And so therefore, my perimeter, or the distance around, will also be twice as big. What about the areas? Let's take a look at that. Sherry's garden has an area of 8 square meters, whereas Nancy's garden has an area of 32 square meters. Is that also twice as big? No, it is not. It is 4 times as big. I know this because 8 times 4 is 32. So you'll notice that the perimeter gets twice as big when you double the measurements of the length and the width, but it gets 4 times as big, the area, sorry, gets 4 times as big when you double those measurements. I want you to write this down in your notebook because this is a very important relationship to note. Okay, 4th graders, today I want you to do these following problem set problems in your workbook. And then when you're done, you'll work on your exit ticket. And then if you have extra time, please do Zern in class. If you don't, you will do Zern at home for homework along with the rest of your problem set. Don't forget to write your name and turn in your exit ticket when you are done. Thanks.